and today I'm going to be presenting to you guys on planetary mixers. So for today's agenda, first on the list is where we can actually find it on our website, what exactly a planetary mixer is, what a planetary mixer is versus a spiral mixer. That's a huge question that our customers ask whenever they call in and ask us questions as far as needing some direction on which one they should go with, where a planetary mixer fits on a bakery floor, how a planetary mixer works, and who exactly would use a planetary mixer. So where you can find it on our website, this is typically the process that we go through whenever a customer calls in. This is what they see whenever they go onto our website and they're actually looking to request a quote on a specific piece of equipment. So they would go under the Buy Equipment tab, under the Processing Equipment, and they would scroll down until they find the Mixer and Blender category, which is where planetary mixer is. And presently it's broken up into 3 different subcats, and that's based off of the size of the removable bowls. So depending on what amount of product that the customer needs to be producing, that's what you're going to be looking for. So the category definition, you can find this on our website. Just like the planets rotate around the sun, a planetary mixer's attachments rotates around the inside of the mixing bowl. So if you take away one thing from this presentation, the main key point being a planetary mixer has a stationary bowl. So the mixing attachments actually move around inside the bowl. The bowl never moves. That's probably the most important thing that you can take away from this. They are very popular for their flexibility. So a large array of different options can be provided with this depending on the different attachment that you have with it. It can grate cheeses, cut meats, dice vegetables, mixed dough. There's a lot of different variabilities, and also the different size requirements as well, depending on what size bowl that you have. So category definition continued. So they offer plenty of options for bakers who want to prepare different kinds of foods at high volume. So these, again, can range anywhere from like a tabletop model that could be maybe 40 quarts, or all the way up to a huge mixer that's 200 quarts, depending on what size they need or anything like that. So a key point between a planetary mixer versus a spiral mixer, we actually get this question a lot, depending on the size of the micro business or whoever the customer is that's calling in. The main difference between a planetary mixer and a spiral mixer actually has a movable bowl that rotates in both directions, and it rotates around the attachment, and a planetary mixer is just the opposite. So the bowl is stationary and the actual attachments move around inside the bowl. And the reason for that being, the spiral mixers actually ensures a proper dough consistency and well-blended ingredients because the bowl rotates back and forth. And in the proofing and baking process, that is huge. So for that being, the spiral mixers are definitely best suited for kitchens that create artisan breads, bagels, and pizzas. Whereas the planetary mixer are best suited for bakers who want to prepare different kinds of foods at high volume. The planetary mixers are by far the most common commercial mixer on the market. Here's just a really good in-depth photo of the attachments that you can get for some of these mixers. And again, these are more based around the planetary mixers, so whatever sort of application your customer is needing, that's really where sales steps in. We have to make sure that we're asking our customers the proper questions, what their expectations are, the volume that they need to produce, what attachments they might need. One special thing to note, though, from a sales perspective in Sigma Equipment, we do not explicitly sell these attachments. They would have to get these directly from the OEM. Some upstream and downstream equipment. Upstream could be an ingredient feeder, depending on if there needs to be chocolate chips in the bakery dough, anything like that. A chiller or freezer, if some of the ingredients need to be frozen, like if you're doing frozen strawberries or something like that. A ribbon blender to make sure that all the spices and ingredients are properly mixed before going into the planetary mixer. A pipeline metal detector. Metal detection is huge in any stage of the process. Doesn't matter if you're big or small. You always want to make sure that you're checking for metal ingredients and particles. Cutters and slicers, and storage tanks and flour silos to hold the actual ingredients. Downstream equipment could look like sheeters and laminators. If you're working with croissants, the lamination process is huge. We always want that butter. Depositors and also proofers as well. Typically, we would say here on this slide it'd be where it's located on a production floor. These are far more popular in a bakery floor. Again, any bakery that you walk in the US has one, if not 2 of these. Typically, they're located in the back. You can see on this slide. Here it is right here. Typically, it's next to the sheeters or proofing cabinets or wherever. But again, that's from a sales perspective. These do take up a lot of space. They can be vastly larger than this. So that's one of the focuses that we need to ask our customers is what size do you need? How much floor space do you have available? Sometimes that can get overlooked. I know that some of the legacy mixers are actually taller than most. So you really need to make sure that you're asking those proper questions as far as what floor space they have available and what's going to fit. So manufacturers that we commonly see, probably the number one is Hobart, obviously. See it everywhere. Diosna, Ross, Univex, and Tonelli. Industries that these are commonly used in, number one by far, bakery, food application, these are huge. Again, any bakery that you walk into in the US probably has a couple of these. Category takeaways, so the key features of these units. Again, number one point of this presentation, it does have a stationary but removable bowl. That's the key difference between a planetary versus a spiral mixer. They are well known for their different types of mixing attachments that gives them a lot of variability depending on whatever the customer is looking to use these for, along with the timed mixing speeds, and they had the capacity to produce a large volume of product and the various bowl sizes to accommodate large or small production. So category takeaways for acquisitions and sales, these really both go hand in hand, they're interchangeable. We always want to know the product last run, especially if you're talking like a chemical application versus a bakery application. We absolutely need to know that. So does the customer. Does it come with any additional bowls? Sizes of those bowls. We always need to check and make sure that the guarding is there, any mixing attachments, and the overall sizes. And then from a sales perspective, what product they will be running, the size of the bowls that they need, if they have any specific mixing attachments in mind, again, remind them that it's best to get those from the OEM directly. We don't supply those here. And also the floor space available in their bakery. The engineering questions, again, mixing bowls if it's included, what is the size? What type of mixing attachments come with it? Make sure that the guarding is there. Does it have variable speed? What is the motor horsepower? And what kind of bowl lift does the mixer have? Is the mixer gear or belt driven? And what is the motor RPM? So these are a little bit more in depth. This is for whenever we're listing a piece of equipment on our website. It's a good guideline to go through. A Sigma owned example, which you guys can actually see up here. The mixing attachments are actually inside the bowl, but it's K9594. It is a Hobart 40-quart floor model mixer. This is a great example of a very complete listing. It answers all the questions that if the customer's on our website looking for something, all the answers are right there in front of them. So, category summary, planetary mixers. They're the number one mixer on the market. They provide lots of variability to baker and manufacturers alike, again, just due to the interchangeable bowls and interchangeable mixing attachments. And they can be used in many industries.